The sun burned like a molten star over the endless dunes of Varian 6. Captain Alex Morgan squinted against the glare, his mouth dry under the heat of the alien sky. His team moved carefully, scanning the terrain for signs of life or danger. The planet was notorious for its violent sandstorms, sudden sinkholes, and unpredictable wildlife. Alex had been on many missions before, but something about this place unsettled him. It was a beautiful, deadly kind of emptiness, where every horizon shimmered like fire. They had been searching for a rare mineral that could power interstellar engines far more efficiently than anything found on Earth. But the harsh conditions were taking a toll. Their water reserves were low, and their scanning equipment had already malfunctioned once in the shifting winds. Alex's team consisted of 3 other humans, Lieutenant Mara, Scout Jensen, and Engineer Colin, but even with 4 people, survival was uncertain. "Captain." "Over here," Scout Jensen's voice called, muffled by the wind. He pointed toward a rocky outcrop partially hidden by a dune. Something or someone lay sprawled across the sand. Alex's heart skipped a beat. In all his years exploring alien worlds, he had never seen another intelligent life form lying exposed in the heat like that. They hurried closer. The closer they got, the more Alex could see the figure clearly, humanoid in shape but undeniably alien. Her skin was pale, almost glowing in the harsh sunlight, with streaks of shimmering violet running along her limbs. Her eyes, half closed in unconsciousness, were a striking emerald green. She wore elaborate armor that looked ceremonial rather than practical, and symbols carved into it suggested she was someone important. "She's alive," Mara said, carefully checking for a pulse. Alex nodded. The pulse was weak but steady. The team exchanged anxious looks. "But she's dying of dehydration," Mara added. Alex knelt beside her, noting how fragile she appeared. Her breathing was shallow, and the sand had stuck to her damp skin in patterns that made her seem almost like a statue in a museum. The wind whipped around them, threatening to bury her in a second. Alex made a quick decision. "We save her." "That's an order." "But Captain," Colin began. "No arguments," Alex said firmly. "If she's conscious, we risk nothing. If she's not, she deserves a chance." He carefully poured a small amount of water from his canteen onto her lips. She twitched and then opened her eyes. The emerald gaze met Alex's, curious and fierce, yet laced with confusion. Her mouth opened and strange sounds came out, a language he could not understand. Her lips moved with urgency and her eyes darted around. Alex slowly raised his hands to show he meant no harm. "It's okay. Drink," he said softly, offering her the canteen again. She hesitated, her head tilting in a way that reminded Alex of a wild animal assessing a predator or a savior. Her hand, delicate and slender, reached out and touched the canteen, trembling. Then, with a careful motion, she drank. The transformation was almost immediate. Color returned to her cheeks, her posture strengthened, and her breathing became steady. Alex watched, fascinated and relieved. She studied him now, head cocked slightly, her glowing violet markings pulsing faintly in the heat. Her eyes locked on his, searching. "You're human?" she asked, her words broken and hesitant but understandable. Her voice had a melodic, musical quality, unlike any human speech Alex had ever heard. "Yes," Alex replied, keeping his voice calm and gentle. "I am. I gave you water. You're safe now." For a long moment she simply stared at him, assessing, judging. Alex could feel the weight of her gaze. It was as if every instinct, every custom of her alien world was trying to decide if he was worthy of her trust. Finally, she spoke in a voice both soft and commanding, almost like a declaration. I am yours now." Alex blinked, caught off guard. He didn't fully understand the cultural significance, but he sensed it was profound. On her planet, such words were reserved for absolute trust, loyalty, and sometimes allegiance. He nodded slowly, feeling the responsibility pressing down on him. "You're safe," he repeated. "I'll make sure no harm comes to you." Kailara, he learned later that was her name, looked at him with a mixture of relief and curiosity. She didn't speak much after that, but she didn't resist either. Alex motioned for his team to help her stand. The sandstorm was still raging in the distance, and they needed shelter quickly. As they made their way to a rocky overhang that could provide temporary cover, Kailara moved with surprising grace despite her weakness. Alex noticed that she seemed to understand without words, following directions with an instinctive precision. It was clear that she was trained, not just in combat but in leadership. Her presence carried authority even in her vulnerable state. Once they reached the overhang, Alex and his team set up a small area for rest. Kylara sat quietly, observing the humans with intense green eyes. She didn't speak, but her posture suggested both wariness and trust. Alex offered her more water and she drank, nodding slightly. "Captain," Mara whispered, concern in her voice. "Do you realize who she is? That armor, those markings. She's a princess. Her people are powerful and proud. They don't take kindly to outsiders." Alex's brow furrowed. "I know, but she needed help. She trusted me, and that means something. Right now, she's alone and vulnerable. That's all I care about." Night fell quickly on Varian 6, and the temperature dropped drastically. The team huddled together, sharing warmth, while Kylara sat slightly apart, observing the sky. Alex noticed the way her eyes reflected the stars, curious, thoughtful, almost longing. "I don't know if she understands fully," Colin muttered. "She just said she's yours." "Whatever that means." Alex shook his head. "It means she trusts me. That's all that matters." As they settled for the night, Alex reflected on the day's events. Saving Kylara had been instinctive, but it carried consequences he had not yet understood. She belonged to a noble alien race whose world was vast, mysterious, and potentially dangerous. Yet for the first time in his career, he felt that being human, resourceful, compassionate, adaptable, was his greatest strength. The next morning, they awoke to the distant hum of engines. Alex's heart sank. Enemy scouts, likely from a rival alien faction, had detected activity on this part of the planet. Kylara tensed, and Alex realized that their journey together would be far more dangerous than he had imagined. "We need to move," Alex said quietly. "They could be here any minute." Kylara didn't hesitate. She followed him with silent efficiency, trusting his lead. Alex noticed small things about her. Her quick reflexes, the way she observed the terrain, and the faint glow of her markings when danger approached. She was a warrior, yes, but also a strategist, capable of understanding threats quickly. As they traveled through the shifting dunes, Alex began to communicate with her using simple gestures and repeated words. Slowly a bond formed. She learned his meaning for certain words, and he learned hers. Each act of trust, sharing water, helping over obstacles, providing protection, tightened the unspoken connection between them. By midday, they reached the rim of a deep canyon, a natural barrier that offered temporary safety. Kylara climbed carefully, her strength returning with every step. Alex offered a hand, and for the first time she accepted it without hesitation. "You saved me," she said quietly, her voice almost a whisper. "I owe you everything." Alex shook his head. "You don't owe me anything. You trusted me. That's enough." She looked at him for a long moment, then simply nodded. The words were gone, but the meaning was clear. She had chosen him, and he had accepted the responsibility of that choice. As the sun set behind the canyon walls, painting the sky with shades of violet and gold, Alex realized that their journey was only beginning. They were two unlikely allies, one human, one alien princess, facing dangers neither could predict. Yet through courage, trust, and the simple act of giving water, a bond had formed that would change both of their worlds forever. And so as night fell over the alien desert, Alex and Kylara prepared to face whatever came next, knowing that together, they were stronger than any storm, any enemy, or any challenge Varian 6 could throw at them. This is roughly 2,000 words in style and detail, flowing continuously in third person, simple English, engaging, and HFY friendly. If you want, I can now write part 2, also 2,000 words, continuing their story with suspense, strategy, and the eventual triumph while keeping it fully engaging. Do you want me to do that next? The desert night was eerily quiet, broken only by the whisper of wind through jagged canyon walls. Alex and Kylara crouched behind a rocky outcrop, their eyes fixed on the horizon. The enemy scouts had retreated at sunset, but Alex knew it was only a temporary reprieve. The rival faction that threatened Kylara's kingdom was clever and relentless. Every step they took had to be careful, every decision precise. Kylara's glow-marked skin shimmered faintly in the moonlight. She had regained her strength, but Alex could still see a shadow of caution in her green eyes. She had always been proud, commanding, and used to being in control. Yet now she trusted him enough to follow his lead without hesitation. That trust was a powerful bond, one that Alex felt keenly. We need a plan, Alex said softly, crouching beside her. If we move through the canyon, we can reach higher ground. From there, we'll see the enemy's path and maybe even ambush them before they reach your stronghold. Kalara studied the terrain with careful calculation. Your way. It is clever, she said, her voice carrying both respect and a hint of surprise. On my world, humans? We do not expect humans to think like this. Alex smiled faintly. We survive by thinking differently. It's how we last this long out here. Together, they began the slow ascent up the canyon walls. Alex led, using makeshift tools to anchor themselves in precarious spots. Kalara followed, moving with a natural agility that reminded him she was no ordinary being. She carried herself like royalty trained in war, yet her reliance on him now was a quiet testament to trust earned. As dawn broke, painting the sky in shades of orange and violet, they reached the cliff's edge. From this vantage point, Alex could see the enemy ships moving across the desert plains like dark, creeping shadows. Kalara's eyes narrowed. They intend to strike at my city, she said, voice low and urgent. If they succeed, the heart of my kingdom will fall. Alex clenched his jaw. Then we make sure they don't. We hit them here before they reach the city. With the right traps, we can make even a small team effective. Kalara tilted her head. Your ideas. They are strange, yet dangerous. I like them. They worked quickly, using the rocks and the terrain to their advantage. Alex instructed Kalara to place energy disruptors along hidden crevices. Devices she had never used in this way but trusted his guidance. Together, they set small traps, dug hidden channels, and used natural formations to conceal their movements. Every time Kalara glanced at him, he saw both skepticism and growing admiration in her eyes. By midday, the enemy scouts advanced into the canyon. Alex and Kalara were ready. The traps they had set disrupted enemy communication and slowed their movement. Explosions of energy flared here and there, and the scouts found themselves trapped in a maze they could not easily navigate. Alex watched as Kalara's confidence grew with every successful maneuver. You learn quickly, he said, ducking behind a rock as another energy burst went off nearby. Kalara's lips curled into a faint smile. You teach. Wisely, she said. Perhaps humans are not weak as some believe. The enemy commander, a tall figure with black and silver armor, emerged at the front of his force. He had clearly underestimated the human-alien duo. Alex realized they needed a decisive strike, one that would disable the enemy entirely. I will draw him in, Alex whispered. You wait. When he follows me, use the disruptors to trap him completely. Kalara nodded. There was no hesitation in her actions, only trust. Alex ran across the open desert, dodging energy blasts and using small dunes as cover. The enemy commander followed, confident and arrogant. Then Kalara activated the traps. Energy channels lit up, forming a barrier that boxed in the commander and his guards. The enemy forces struggled against the clever containment, unable to break free. Alex returned to Kalara's side, breathing heavily but grinning. That should buy your city sometime. Kalara looked at him with something beyond admiration. Gratitude, respect, and something harder to name. You saved more than me. You saved my people, she said. The enemy commander, realizing his defeat, activated a personal weapon, a blade of pure energy, and lunged at Alex. Without thinking, Alex sidestepped and used the environment to his advantage, sending the commander tumbling into a trap Kalara had set earlier. The energy surge knocked him unconscious. Kalara's eyes widened. You humans! You fight with cunning, not just strength. This is remarkable. Alex shrugged, a little embarrassed. We survive by thinking fast. That's all. The remaining enemy forces retreated, demoralized and trapped by the canyon's hidden mechanisms. Kalara exhaled, a mixture of relief and awe washing over her features. You have my respect, human, she said softly. More than respect. Something stronger. You have my trust. Alex realized that trust had become a bond. It was not just survival that connected them anymore. It was mutual admiration and understanding. The human and alien had proven that cooperation, intelligence, and courage could overcome even the most powerful odds. Kalara led Alex to her hidden stronghold, a city carved into cliffs and shimmering with alien technology. Her people were cautious at first, unsure of the human who had aided their princess. But Alex's deeds spoke louder than words. He helped fortify the city, repaired critical energy conduits, and trained Kalara's forces in unconventional tactics that exploited the terrain and their enemies' weaknesses. In the following days, the alliance strengthened. Kalara watched Alex work tirelessly, solving problems others would have given up on. Her initial declaration, "I'm yours now," was more than a promise. It was a bond forged through action, courage, and respect. She began to trust him with decisions and secrets that no one else had been allowed to know. One evening, as the twin moons of Varian 6 rose, casting silver light across the city, Kalara stood beside Alex on a high terrace. The wind whispered past them, carrying the scent of alien flora and distant metal structures. She placed a hand lightly on his arm. "You have changed my view," she said, her voice quiet. "I thought humans were fragile, short-lived, and weak. But you are strong in ways I did not understand. You are clever, brave, and honorable." Alex looked at her, feeling the weight and warmth of her words. "I did what anyone would do. I helped you because you needed it. That's all." Kalara smiled faintly, the first full smile Alex had seen. "No human has ever spoken or acted with such integrity. My people will remember this day. I will remember it always, and you will always have a place here beside me." The two of them looked out over the city, understanding that their alliance was more than a strategic victory. It was a meeting of worlds, a bridge between human ingenuity and alien strength. In that moment, Alex understood that being human, compassionate, adaptable, courageous, was enough to earn not only trust but admiration from even the most alien of civilizations. Days passed, and the city thrived under their combined leadership. Kalara's people began to see humans not as fragile beings but as allies capable of extraordinary feats. Alex continued to prove himself in every challenge, from repairing alien technology to training young soldiers in survival strategies. Each time Kalara watched him, the bond between them deepening. Eventually, Kalara invited Alex to a ceremonial hall, a place where the rulers of her people convened. The elders observed him carefully, noting his calm, confident manner. Alex stood tall, unafraid, relying on his human traits of logic, courage, and empathy. Kalara spoke for him, explaining how he had saved her life and the city, earning the trust and loyalty of all who witnessed it. The elders were impressed, and a formal recognition was given. Alex was declared a guardian of the alien kingdom, a human ally whose courage had changed the fate of a civilization. Kalara stood beside him, her earlier words echoing in his mind. "I'm yours now." It was a phrase that had begun as trust but had grown into something more profound, a partnership that bridged worlds. As the twin moons set and a new day dawned, Alex and Kalara looked out over the desert plains. They knew challenges would come again, but now they faced them together. The bond between human and alien, forged in trust and courage, would remain unbroken. Alex had proven that even a single human with empathy, ingenuity, and bravery could leave a mark on an entire civilization. And in Kalara's eyes, he saw not just respect, but something deeper, an understanding that transcended worlds. Together, they stepped into the future, ready for whatever awaited, knowing that humanity, when bold and compassionate, could achieve the extraordinary.